Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video, and it is time for everyone's favorite recurring event, Heroes Jubilee, the 17th version of Jubilee to date, and it's not a turn limit. So, I mean, that's great for a lot of people. Not a lot of people were fans of turn limit. I know some people who were, a lot of people were not, to each their own. I personally was not. I like this of just bulking up and killing, right? I don't want to have to survive and do as much damage and, have AoE people. I just want to nuke with my water team, which is what we do in the boss battles, but that's not today's video. Today's video is focused on the normal battles, and here are my current ranks. Again, it's Friday, right? So there is plenty of time for other people to remove me from this number 3 spot and these relatively high rankings for the scores, individual scores. So hopefully this video helps you do that. I'm not too proud to want to sit here in the top 10 and be like, lord it over you. No, I do these videos to help everybody. Whether or not they actually help you is a different matter, but, that's what we're here to do. But before we begin, have the disclaimers to get out of the way. One is, here are the protection characters to my... I guess this is my left, my right, my right, your left, technically. Protection characters for the trait. Your results may vary based on your boxes, so if you don't have quite the same amount of units that I do, or dupes, then your scores are not going to look the same, and you may have to, change up your strategy a bit. And then the third thing is, don't forget to maximize your output in your town magic buildings. So with that said, let's dive into Normal 1. Alright, this is the team that I used for Normal 1. We have the Space team with Hakuro and Ramrus for her trait. We've got Carrion for his crit boost. We've got Velzard for her orb change, because you do need a blue to green orb changer. So if you don't have Velzard, you can use the free-to-play Wind Shuna, or you could use the 4-star Space Hakuro, who I know a lot of people were using the previous Jubilee Blitz for his type advantage. So if you don't have Velzard, don't sweat it. I really only use her for the orb change, so if you only have Hakuro, he will work just fine. Shuna is here for ult boost, Milim is here for the nuking, and Hero is here for her nuke as well. We are doing the one single target and double AoE turn 3 nuke strategy, so let's go ahead and start this up, and I'll describe to you what my thought process was. Overall, this Jubilee is pretty good. It's not a turn limit, and it definitely is catering to strong elements. Like, the two of the normals are water and space, which are really good. One of the normals is earth. We're currently in the earth meta, so that's also cool. And then for the boss battles, you use space or water. So this is a pretty good Jubilee, in my opinion. So turn 1, we're going to use Velzard / Hakuro's orb change, whoever you have, and then we're going to bring in Milim and Hero so we can get them working. Next turn, it's turn 2, we're going to need a lot of points. We're going to need a Hakuro meter, and we're going to need at least 2 Milim and 2 Hero orbs. So if you get like 3 and 1, it's not really going to work. If you get, 6 and 0, it really ain't going to work. But right here, it worked out just fine because we have 3 Hero, 2 Milim. That will be fine. We're going to use the Rewind and the Drago right here. That way we can, get that free turn, and we're going to have the stack on Milim. We're going to use Hakuro, get a full 6-card Send of Orange, and then we have enough points where we're going to use the space buff as well. So here, we're going to send all this. We're going to kill these bats because, 2 of our units are pretty well buffed. And then, on the Rewind, we'll phase 3, but we can go ahead and then swap Hero and Milim out. That way they can retain the space buff and the Drago buff when we actually want to nuke. So here, it's important that you have enough orbs and enough points to use, 125 skills points, and have a Hakuro meter. It's really important you can get a Hakuro meter right here, because you're going to have to use the ult buff from Shuna, and the crit buff from Hero, and the crit buff from Carrion. So that's where some extra RNG is going to come into play. thankfully it worked out. We had 4 Millims that we could swap in Carrion for. We spread some damage against each of the bats, made them a little weaker. But now we have almost full points and a Hakuro meter, which is the important part. So let's use the alt boost right here. And then we will bring in Milim and Hero. And then we can use... Well, okay, there's Hero now. So now we've got Milim and Hero. We can use the crit buff from Carrion, and then Hakuro, and then that will give us enough to use the crit buff from the Hero. And then we're ready to go. If they have a lot of health like what we have here, you can send Carrion Orbs if you have them, but you cannot send Milim and you cannot send Hero, because they have, you know, triple buffs on. They're going to kill those bats immediately. But if you have some Carrions to spare, you can get away with it. So, we send 2 Carrions. We're going to nuke with Milim right here for 151, and then the Hero does almost 60k each. And that should give me my highest score that I currently have right now, of 49,153. Yep, there we go. Okay, so that is the first team that you can use for normal 1. Let's move on to the second team. Okay, here is an alternative team that you can use for Boss Battle 1. This is going to be the AoE, Space 2.0 team, and unfortunately, I don't have Leon. So, if you have Leon and Rain, you can make this work a lot better than what I am, because Leon with his 80%, alt boost with 15 points is really, really good for this. Instead, we're going to try and just kind of make do with the Hero right here, and Rimuru. But we have Guy, who, can give alt gauge turns to greens. We also have Velzard again for the orb change, or Hakuro. Misery is here for her green boost. Carrion's here for his buff. Rimuru's here for his buff. And then the Hero is our AoE nuker. So, this one requires, I guess, less RNG, because we're giving the Hero a lot of gauge just from Guy himself, the greens that are going to be boosted from Misery. So this probably takes less RNG than the other team does, but unless you have Leon, your score will probably look worse. This team doesn't give me as high a score, but it can do something. So let's zoom ahead for the actual run. Okay. Let's start this up. Alright. So, turn 1, orb change with Velzard. It's pretty easy, right? So there's the seal. Go ahead and orb change, and then we're going to bring in Rimuru and the Hero. Going to need both of them, because you're going to, again, buff on turn 2 and then send them away. Send Hero away on the rewind. So, Rimuru in for Carrion. Go ahead and send 6 green. So here we have Guy, and really you only need 1 Hero Orb, because we're going to get a massive boost from, sending 6 greens that are going to be boosted already, and thankfully we get 3 heroes and a whole bunch of greens, so awesome. So right here, we're going to use the rewind, and the green boost from Misery. And then we'll use Guy, because we need to use Guy here to give the Hero some alt gauge. His 35% is going to come in real handy. And now, we're going to go ahead and send everything. Hero has an alt, Rimuru has an alt. It doesn't really matter that Rimuru has an alt, he is not our nuker here. So here we go, 6 cards of green, kills the second bat, turning us on into phase 3, of which we're going to use the Rimuru buff, and then send both of them away. Because I don't want to kill the other bats right here, because this is the 3rd phase, right? We want to nuke. So here, we're going to use the attack buff. We don't have to use Guy here, we already have alts, so I'm going to swap out Velzard, and, sorry, my cat's meowing for some reason, and Carrion. That way we only have 1 unit that has the attack buff, and then you just have to make sure you don't actually kill these bats on accident. So Misery has the buff, so we're going to have to spread our attacks out a little bit. So we're going to send a Misery and then a Velzard, and then a Misery and a Velzard, just to make sure that we don't have 2 boosted attacks on any one bat. And then we'll send another one, and then the final one. So this should leave everyone alive. So 1, 2, 3. Ooh, very, very close on that middle bat. And then the third hit underneath half. So this looks pretty good right here. We cannot use Frostbite, though, because that instant damage would kill that middle bat, and that's not what we want to do. So he's stupid low. But now, we can go ahead and bring in the hero for whoever. It doesn't really matter, as long as they have an orb. And then we're going to use the crit buff and crit buff. I guess so you can't swap Carrion out, but you can swap whoever, Misery or Velzard. One of the two. You can use Guy. They already have the AoE debuff, so it doesn't really matter. It's already there. And honestly, you're not going to do anything but send it anyways. So you're just going to send one ult. You don't really have room to hit anybody else right here. You maybe could have hit that left bat with Carrion, but it's asking a little much. So there we go. We ulted for 51k on each of them. So definitely if you have Leon, your score will go up. But 44-2 is not too much lower than like my 49 in the whole retrospect, right? Because I don't have Leon. If you have Leon, if you have Space 2.0, this 44 will be much higher because you'll have the attack boost, you'll have the crit buff, and you'll have the 80% ult boost on Leon. And then you'll have the crit buff from either Carrion or Rain, plus the debuff from Rain if you have her. So it can work very well. So one of these two teams is going to work for you. So let's move on now to Normal 2, probably the most head-scratching battle of this Jubilee. Okay, for Normal 2, we have Hakuro again, because Hakuro is one of the best protectors in the game. We've got Water Shuna for her ult boost, and maybe her orb change if we need it. Aaron for her orb change, because we need her. We need the 2 orange to 2 green, so you can use her, you can use Ranga, you can use Soe, but Aaron is free, right? Everyone should have Aaron, so everyone should have access to that orb change, and she's type advantage, so... We've got Valentine as the primary nuker, Hero for her buff and rewind, and then Trainee for the second nuker, alright? You know, there's going to be 2 teams we show here, alright? Trainee for the second nuker, because up until this meta, she was our next best single target. If you have a high-leveled Soe, that can also work, but these enemies have physical resistance by like 100%. So his guaranteed crits for 15 points, you know, is good, but he's going to do a lot less damage because of that resistance those enemies have. So we're going to use Trainee because she's magic. So it's pretty standard here. Get 2 ults with Valentine and Trainee. Get enough points to use both the ult boost, the crit buff, and then the magic boost, and you're off to the races. So this one doesn't take a whole lot of RNG. It's pretty straightforward. So, turn 1, you're going to orb change with Aaron. It's ready and set there for you. And then you're going to bring in Valentine, and you're going to bring in Trainee. Valentine's already in the field because we have her attached to Earth Millum for more attack. So, there you go. There's the physical resistance. Both waves have that physical resistance no matter what turn you get there. So again, Soe, while being single target, will not be as effective as you would like him to be. So orb change, bring Trainee in for Shuna, send 6 on 1, because these 6 will kill just one enemy. But then turn 2 on the rewind, you're gonna kill. Well, turn 2 you're gonna kill this other guy. The rewind, you're gonna do some extra damage, and then turn 3 is the nuke turn again. So here we get lucky. We have 2. We get 2-2-2, right? Which is what we need. We need a hero, or we were going to bring in the hero and use her rewind, but then we still need 2 Valentine and 2 Trainees to guarantee that we get their ults. So use Hakuro right here. Going to go ahead and just send everything. It's just important that we have max points and that we can get another protection gauge on the rewind turn, because that will guarantee us that we have enough points to use both the big buffs and then Valentine's 15-point buff. So there you go, the other guy is dead. We're going to rewind into phase 3. And our hand is pretty good. Look at all that trainee. We don't even have to swap anyone out, right? Because it's not like we're hiding buffs. No one is holding on to anything, so we can just send these 5. We should spread out the damage, so I think I redo this. Because I don't want to kill one, right? I want to get them low. There we go. So we'll send 3, and then we'll send 4, 5 on the other guy. So 100 points, Hawkero gauge, guaranteed ults for Trainee and Valentine. So we're ready to go now. So there's a hit, and there's a hit. We're going to crit boost, we're going to magic buff, we're going to alt boost, and we're going to nuke. Simple enough, right? It's pretty straightforward, like I said. So just remember that Val wants to nuke the one that you use the magic debuff on, so just pay attention to which one you're debuffing. They're both magic, but you'll get the most damage out of Valentine nuking that specific one rather than Trainee nuking it. So here we go. You can send a few like Aaron orbs since she doesn't have any buffs on. So we have 3 right here. I think we send like 2 and then 1. Just to get things, you know, a little bit lower HP. And then, or maybe I do 3 and then, okay, no, here we go. Alright, so 1, 2, and then we flip, and then do the third. Oh, we do a Valentine card. Okay. Extra damage. Alright, there we go. 1, 2, and then a Val to get them lower. Val nukes for almost 100k, and then Trainee comes in with her 53-4. Alright? Could be better, but Trainee's not a damage dealer. Right? She's defense. Which will come in handy for, you know, the next team comp that I show you, which is just about the same. We just changed one character, but there is a bit more RNG to that. So 43-8 is a pretty good score, considering, let's see, what am I currently sitting at? I'm at 44-5, so it's not too far off. But if you have the new Murin, you can get higher. It just, again, takes a bit more work. So let's go ahead and get that team loaded up. Alright, so here is the other Earth team. Things look a little odd, right? We still got Hawker, we still got Hero, we still got Aaron. We've got Murin, but she's attached to Milim, which, you know, isn't really taking advantage of the whole have a high defense and then switch it out. But I have tested this, right? And I needed to have certain things happen on certain turns in certain orders. And this is the build. This is the way I've set up my units to make sure that can happen. And then we've got, you know, Shuna for the ult boost and Valentine's in the back with Trainee, okay? So Murin has just about 10k defense, which is still good. It's still higher than, you know, once we do the swap, it's going to be higher than what Valentine has at 85, right? So it'll still be good damage. But I need things to happen in a very specific way for this to work, because I don't want to swap well, actually, I could swap. I could swap Valentine and Murin's stats, but one of them is going to stay on the field, so in which case it wouldn't really matter. So we'll just get into this, and I'll try and explain this to you as we go. So we're already in the fight. Turn 1, you're going to orb change with Murin, or not Murin, but Aaron. And then you're going to leave everything alone. You're not going to switch Valentine in. You're just going to leave it as it is. So the Hero is up here, Aaron is up here, and Murin is up here. We're going to, again, send 6 greens against the 1. He will die. Hopefully. Should die. My Murin's only 80, so there we go. 1 is dead. Cool. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use the rewind. And again, we need 2 Murin orbs. That way we can guarantee her ult. So there's the rewind. We're going to use Hawkero for the 6 of orange, and then we're going to use the attack swap right here. So now Murin's going to have that 99, almost 10k attack stat. And then we're going to bring Valentine in after we use that swap. So now we're going to bring her in for someone who has the most orbs that's not Murin, because we want to get ults for both of them. So Murin will get her ult, Hero will get her ult, doesn't really matter about Hero. So we're going to send this. We're going to kill the second guy. And then, on the rewind, we're going to send Murin into the back so she can retain that almost 10k attack stat for the nuke turn. Valentine, we didn't give it to her. The Hero doesn't matter, okay? So, here we go. We get 2 Valentine orbs, which is unfortunate, but, you know, we can make it work, alright? So here, we really need her ult. We need her ult more than anything else. And we need a Hakuro meter, which is fine because Shuna and the hero are going to be up front, and between their protection traits, well, Shuna has Rimuru attached to her, so between his trait and the hero's trait, we're going to have enough to have the Hakuro gauge. And then we have 2 orbs that we can get Valentine's ult, which is really important here. If we weren't able to do that, this wouldn't work. So, thankfully, the hero and Rimuru have good traits. There we go. We have exactly enough for a Hakuro protector. So now we're going to use the ult boost. Doesn't really matter which one it goes on because we're not nuking with water. We're going to bring Miran back in, who still has her, her stats swapped, so she has really high attack. We're going to use Hakuro here, and then we're going to use the crit buff and the magic boost. So, again, whoever you put the magic debuff on is who you probably want to nuke with Valentine, because she's still going to do more damage than my Miran because of that magic buff. So, at least we have, 2 nukers who have decent attack stats now, right? Miran has 10k, Valentine has like 9-something k with the trait. So we send some orbs, get them low, get them pretty low. Valentine's going to nuke the first guy for 94k, and then Miran's going to nuke for 88, which is a lot better than Trainee's 53 that we did last time, right? And our score ends up being 44-5, which is currently my highest and probably where I'm going to sit at, because I'm not putting anything else into Miran. So that is the alternate strategy you can use. It takes a bit more RNG, and if it doesn't set up for you, you may have to do a few attempts. If you don't have Miran and you just have Valentine and Trainee, fine. Again, Soei's not really going to work for you, but there are the 2 teams that you can use for Earth Stage Normal 2, and let's move on to Normal 3. Alright, here is the team for Normal 3. Really, this is the only team you really want to use. If you don't have the Water 2.0 team, then you're just going to have to make do with what you have. The Water 1.0 team with like Chloe and Alice and Belzard, it can work, but it's definitely not going to score you very high. I did, I think, build it out somewhere in my teams. Yeah, right here. Like, this could work. It won't be very good, but it will give you points at the very least if you don't have Water 2.0. But if you have Water 1.0, then most likely you have Water 2.0, because you should have summoned for the Bikini waifus. Whether or not they were good, you should have summoned for them, right? Because culture. But this is the team that we actually use, and get used to it, because this is the team we use in Boss Battle too. So we got Milim for stacking, Shuna, Xion, Dark Val, which I have duped up, and I have also duped up my Hinata up to 92. So I gave a dupe to Valentine for her trait, so now for the first 3 turns she gives us Protection Gauge, which combined with Xion's trait will make sure that we have 2 stacks of Milim turn 2 after we use a full hand of blues. And then Hinata at 92 is going to hit harder, right? So, stacks on stacks on stacks on buffs, right? You got to use Valentine stacks, you got to use stack, stack, buff, 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 buff. Right? It's water, right? It's Water 2.0. You know how to use this team. So, let's go ahead and turn this on, and here we go. I think this is the run right here. So, turn 1, we have a Shuna orb change. Alright, had to re-record this part because I forgot a few things, but we have the Shuna orb change. We're going to swap in Hinata for Shuna. So it's important right here that we have Valentine and Xion up front because they both have Protection Gauge on turn 2. Well, technically Valentine has Protection Gauge turn 1, but also turn 2 and 3. But this 6 hand of blue and those 2 traits will ensure that we can get 2 full stacks of Milim turn 2 after sending this entire hand of blue. So that is how I get that. If you don't have Val leveled up, if you don't have Xion leveled up, it's fine. You can still make this work by having like not quite 2 stacks, but having 2 stacks just makes your life just a little bit easier. So one other thing, we get really lucky on the orb change here. So there's the 2 stacks, but one other thing you have to keep in mind is that this spider debuffs your crit chance by 30% on the 3rd turn. So you have Hinata in for turn 1 and turn 2. on turn 3, regardless of what happens, you should probably swap her out, because if you get that minus 30% chance to crit, you will notice it. You know, there are a few runs that I went, and, you know, you have guaranteed 100% crit from Xion, but, you know, you factor in that 30%, it's now 70%, and I hit that 70% a lot more than I would have liked to. So, turn 3, it's the best idea to just cut your losses for the ult, swap Hinata out, try and get a full hand of blues just to, you know, maximize points, maximize stacks of Milim. But Poison's turn 2, that's fine. Turn 3 now, we'll get another stack of Milim on Hinata, and then we'll get her out of here. And she only has 1 orb, so it's not like we're missing anything. The kill turn for the Spider for max turn bonus is turn 5, but he will still have his defense, his guard, and his crit resistance. But Hinata does have that skill where you can get rid of that crit resistance for 2 turns. So in order to maximize your points, which I don't think I actually do on this run, you will want to use that crit resistance seal. It lasts for 2 turns, so you can use it the turn before you're ready to nuke, so turn 4 or turn 5, depending on if you want to do turn 5 or turn 6 nuke. Turn 6, he loses all of his defense, so you can nuke pretty safely on that turn. But if you want to go for max turn bonus, you're going to have to nuke on turn 5 and make sure you have an additional 25 skill points to use that seal to make sure you do the most damage possible. So there's another stack. That's our final stack of Valentine, I believe. Yep, final stack of Valentine. We're going to bring Hinata back in for probably Xion. Yeah, okay, Xion, and then you'll come in for Valentine. And then we can get another stack on Hinata. And then we can use some orb changing here. We have enough points to do both the orange and the green. This will ensure that we have, again, you know, probably 2 stacks of Milim and Hinata's ult and enough points. So let's see. There we go. Max turn, or, you know, max points, max protection gauge, ultimate for Hinata. And hopefully this run I actually do use the crit resistance seal. Just to, you know, make do on what I am re-recording this section for, because the first time I recorded this, I did not mention the crit seal on the Spider or on us, so it's important information if you're trying to get the best score possible. So here's 2 stacks of Milim, and then we're probably going to use everything. 1, 2, do I not use the seal? Okay, well, that'll hurt my score. I'll have to go back and do that again. I guess we'll bring in Xion for Rimuru. Please tell me I use it. I don't use it. Okay. Well, unfortunate. Oh no. Oh, I do use it. Okay. Well, I don't have to redo it then. This is probably where I'm capping out at. Alright, so there's the crit seal on, so he doesn't have that extra layer of defense. So our crit will, 1, guaranteed hit, because we kept Hinata out of the debuff turn, and we have sealed his crit resistance for 312k. If your Hinata is higher than mine, she will do more damage, obviously, but 54.4 is where I'm currently sitting for this high score. So, there you go. Water 2.0, make sure to swap out Hinata on turn 3, make sure to use that crit seal using Hinata on your nuking turn if it's turn 5. Turn 6, again, you don't have to use it because he loses all of his defense, so you will hit probably harder because he doesn't have that defense either. But you'll miss out on the turn bonus, which right here you can see 14k. If you get a turn 6, it's 12k. So if you can really overkill from that defense, you can probably, you know, counteract that 2,000 point loss you would have from the turn bonus. So maybe it's a better idea just to nuke on turn 6, just to make sure. But there you go, that's the video right there, guys. Normal battles for Jubilee 17. Let me know in the comments how you guys are doing. Did you use any different team setups than what I showed off today? Boss battles will come tomorrow. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you later.